Thank you again for joining us for the sales track training for April 16, 2008. Again, my name is Dr. Joan Hockenstad. I'm so grateful to be on the call today. Thank you so much, and thank you so much for being on the call today. A quick review of what we've been chatting about over the past few weeks is the sales track. What we've really been targeting is sales track on the sales side, and there's 6 major steps to sales track. Step number 1 is the starting point. With whom do I start? This is really identifying and creating, number 1, your target list or your list of people that you know. That is the start of your database. And from here on out, anybody and everybody that you meet goes into that database. Your database should be growing every single day. And there's different marketing techniques and prospecting techniques that you can take on a regular basis to help build your business. As Darlene said just a few minutes ago, don't be a secret business owner. And that's what it's all about. Your database should be increasing every single day. Now, your database is great, but it only goes so far. You have to actually work your database. You need to actually have a commercial or a way to introduce Worth Unlimited. That's step number 2, and that's your 15-second commercial. We're going to chat a little bit more about those 2 steps in just a few minutes and how it relates to recruiting. And then throughout this training, we're going to talk over the next few weeks, we're going to talk about the other 4 steps as well. That being using qualifying questions and tie downs. And to me, that really is one of the most important aspects. The commercial is truly imperative to have that one down, because if you don't have a solid commercial, you're not going to go anywhere. You're not going to really be able to start much of a conversation. You can actually turn people off by having a poor commercial. So having a solid commercial is critical. But once that conversation starts, to me, during the conversation, the most important thing that you can do is have a lot of questions to truly get to know that person in front of you. That time, those questions are going to be how you determine how you move forward. Is this person truly a client prospect, an agent prospect, or both? And you won't know that definitively until you ask questions, until you truly get to know them. You also want to use the qualifying questions and tie downs to weed out people, because not everybody's a good fit. Whether it's a client prospect, an agent prospect, the reality is not everybody is a good fit. We've also chatted about personal and borrowed stories. Those stories are what's going to evoke emotion in the person that's in front of you. And emotion is what causes people to take action. It's unusual for people, although not unlikely, some people do, but it's unusual for people to take action just based on fact, unless they're truly an analytical. So really you want to tap into people's emotion. People make decisions based on emotion, and then they back it up with logic. So you want to tell relevant stories that are relevant to that person. Ask a lot of questions, get to know them, and then tell stories that are applicable to them, relevant to them, something that they can relate to, and that will help them to take action. The litmus test, those are 2 main questions. The first question being, on a scale of 1 to 5, where's your desire to? And then input what they said was of interest to them. Remember, during this conversation, you've asked lots of questions, you've been getting to know them, you've gotten to know what's important to them, you've told stories that are relevant, and now that litmus test should be asking them really how important is it to them on that scale of 1 to 5. Maybe they said their desire was to get out of debt. So where's your desire on a scale of 1 to 5? 1 not being so hot, 5 being truly imperative to you. Where is your desire to get out of debt? Or where's your desire, as we're going to be talking about recruiting today, where's your desire to become your own boss, or whatever it is that they said was important to them? If they respond favorably to that litmus test, the next step, you're going to ask them, are you serious or just curious about? And then again, input what they said. Are you serious or curious about getting out of debt? Are you serious or curious about becoming your own boss? Again, we've been spending the last few weeks talking about the client side of things. And so really today we're going to talk about how to bring this around and talk about it on the recruiting side. But this is really just a review right now. And then after they've responded favorably on that litmus test, it's about setting the appointment in stone. And there's certain ways that you can phrase things to really increase the likelihood that somebody will maintain that appointment, really increase the likelihood of that person moving forward. You're creating that sense of urgency, and you're really solidifying that appointment. That's what sales track is all about. And this sales track is absolutely critical in the sales process. This is the start of your conversation. Now, all 6 of these steps can occur within about 5, 10, maybe 15 minutes. If you're spending more than that time in your initial conversation, I would say you're selling right now, and that's not your goal in that initial conversation. Your initial conversation is to get them interested and curious enough to want to run an analysis. That is your goal. Now, at that first appointment, then your goal is to really get them moving forward as a client and getting them to make commitments and small commitments to buying. But your first conversation, your goal is simply to get that appointment, simply to get them curious enough to want to have their analysis ran. That is your goal. And these 6 steps are how you're going to create that curiosity and how you're going to create a sense of urgency so that they will want to move forward. You need to have a prepared prospect is also what we've been chatting about. Letting them know what to expect is absolutely critical. Remember, people buy an emotion, they back it up with logic. If they have any form of anxiety, now you're tapping into an unwanted emotion. You really want to alleviate any type of anxiety. You want to keep any nervousness away from the table. You want to have that positive emotion so that they will take positive steps to move forward. You want to do that 3-way call to introduce them to Worth. If, in fact, you are referring them over to Worth, we have a number of people that are, in fact, closing their own sale. So obviously, you wouldn't refer them over to Worth if you're closing your own sale. If you're using field closers, like Darlene does a lot of closing out there, you'd really want to do a 3-way call and let them know. Or your closer may have a different process that they want to follow. My suggestion is to go into the back office after you refer them over to Worth, after you've gotten them over to your leader or the person that's going to be running the analysis for you. Make sure you go into your back office and input a lot of notes in that back office on that client. These notes, I think, are absolutely imperative because that closer's coming in kind of cold turkey. They don't really know this person. And so if you can give any information, it lets them know where to start with that prospect. I put in as much information as I can. And I do refer a lot of people over to corporate. I do typically use corporate to close my personal sales. So I input a lot of information. I'll put in their name, their career, their marital status, whether they have children, goals that they've talked to me about, any objections that they've given to me, how I've handled the objections. All of that information is rather critical in the sales process because, again, it helps position that closer to know, oh, okay, the price point was of issue to them, so I need to make sure I'm building value. Or maybe they're concerned about the bank knowing their situation or about security. So it gives them some insight, and they will help tap on those objections as well. It also helps them give direction on how they're going to move forward in the sales process. One may move differently with an analytical accountant or an engineer as opposed to maybe the secretary or the physician. They have different mindsets, so you're going to work with an analytical a little bit differently. So knowing their career and what they do is kind of important. So input that information in the back office. Call, invite them to watch the videos. Now, I would caution you to use those videos a little bit too much on the client side. I see a lot of people starting that conversation using those 6 steps to sales track, and then they say, oh, the next step is you have to watch these videos. The reality is not everybody wants to watch a video. If you told me I had to watch a video before I spoke with somebody or before I had my analysis ran, guess what? You would lose me as a client. I just wouldn't do it. I really do not like videos. In fact, we don't even have cable in my house. We don't have Netflix. We don't have any of that stuff. I just don't like watching videos. I don't like that. I would much rather read something. So you have to be able to cater to people with all different learning styles. So not everybody wants to watch a video. If they are ready to move forward after your conversation, set the appointment. Don't add unnecessary steps. Now, those videos are important, though, because they do help offer a solid background to create a foundation for them. So those videos, how I use them, I will typically, if somebody's ready to run an analysis, I'll schedule the appointment for the analysis and then say, you know what, I'm going to send you some videos. These may be helpful for you to watch to really create some good questions and a good foundation for us to build on, but they aren't required. So if you don't get to it, don't worry about it. The most important thing is to make sure you have your financial situation in front of you, have your most recent debt statements in front of you so that we can help you in that regard. But if you have time for those videos, absolutely watch those videos. The second way to use those videos is if somebody needs more information before they move forward. Then after somebody meets with their coach, after you've shown them the analysis, if you're running your own analysis yourself, you want to ask the infamous question, what did you like best about what you saw? You really want to force a positive. Now you're going to notice that all of these strategies that we worked and we've been talking about for the past few months on the client side are really just as important on the agent side as well. So when that brings us to recruiting. There are 4 main steps to recruiting that we're going to bring up onto the screen. Oops, there we go. 4 main steps for recruiting. Number 1, gaining interest. This is where you're going back to those first lessons of Sales Track. Step number 2 is you're going to send them videos or have them attend a live webinar or a live meeting. And when you are having that initial conversation where you're doing that sales track, you want to let them know what to expect. Hey, I'm going to send you some videos. I'm going to send you information so you can attend this live webinar. I'm going to send you information so you can attend this live meeting, whatever it may be. During the course of that initial conversation, as you tell them what to expect with the videos or the webinar or the live meeting, you also want to schedule your follow-up appointment. I see that as one of the biggest mistakes I see agents make is that they do not schedule that follow-up appointment in that initial conversation. I'm going to repeat that because it is that big of a mistake in my mind. Most agents do not schedule a follow-up appointment during their first conversation, and that is one of the biggest mistakes that you can possibly have. Whether you're going and talking to somebody about being a client, whether you're talking to somebody about being an agent, it's irrelevant. You need to have a follow-up appointment scheduled during that first appointment. Now, in the recruiting side, that appointment, that follow-up appointment should be within 24 to 48 hours. You want to give them a deadline. You need to make sure that they have a deadline for when they need to watch the videos by. Now, if they're attending a live meeting, that follow-up should be within 12 hours of that live meeting. If they're attending or they're watching videos or attending a live meeting or a live webinar, then it should be within 24 to 48 hours. Again, humans are by nature procrastinators. It is what it is. Not everybody is, but more than not, humans are procrastinators. And without a deadline, they're never going to watch those videos. And without a scheduled appointment for follow-up, you're going to go into voicemail jail, and you're going to be following up with that person for a long time. So make sure you have that appointment scheduled. Make sure that it is within 24 to 48 hours. Now, in that next appointment, in that step number 3, that follow-up appointment, you're going to ask, and this is going to sound familiar because I just mentioned it, you're going to ask them, what did you like best about what you saw? In fact, that's going to be your first question. Your first question is not, gosh, did you watch the videos? Your first question is, what did you like best about what you saw? Again, you want to force a positive. If somebody's already become an agent or they've made the decision that they're going to become an agent, now they're reselling themselves as to why they want to become an agent, as to why it's imperative for them to move forward. That's a critical part. It's also going to give you some very good insight as to what's important to them. And in the recruiting world, as well as the client side of things, that's absolutely critical because this is going to tell you what you need to talk about in more detail. If they say, gosh, I was super excited about all the money I could make, well, now you know you need to talk to them a lot more about the commission. That's really important to them. If they say, gosh, I'm just so excited, I can't wait to become my own boss, to be in charge of my own schedule, well, that's something you're going to concentrate a lot more on as well, is the opportunity for them to become their own boss, an opportunity for them to make their own schedule where they aren't obliged to somebody else's schedule, where they aren't obliged to this 9-to-5 job. So really how they respond to that question is critical for the remaining part of that second appointment. Your next question you're going to ask them is, hey, did you have any other questions I can ask for you or I can answer for you? Now, a lot of people get hesitant about asking that question. They're concerned that they may not have the answer. And the reality is you will not have all of the answers. I don't have all of the answers, and I've been doing this for a long time. Mac doesn't have all the answers. He's been doing it a lot longer. And that's okay. The goal is not for you to have all the answers. The goal is for you to be able to get to the answers. Now, this is a phenomenal way to do a three-way call. One of our agents out in Virginia, every single time she asks that question, hey, do you have any questions? And the person comes up with a question, whether or not she knows the answer, she says, you know what, that's a great question. Let's go ahead and call over to the corporate office and get the answer for you. Now, again, it doesn't matter to her if she knows the answer or not. She does this on purpose. She wants to show that prospect how easy it is to call over to corporate. She wants to personify corporate. She wants to show them that corporate's not this big box of people and you'll never get to know them. She wants to show them that they're real people that are just absolutely amazing, that are truly there to help you, and that if she is not available, she can always call over to corporate to help with any questions that she may have. So that's a really important step. This also will give you an opportunity to call your upline, or maybe to call your accountability partner, or even, quite frankly, just somebody else on the team as well. Unfortunately, we're never a prophet in our own backyards. My brother and I both get to call ourselves doctor, and my parents still look at us like, oh, we're just those little teens that don't know anything. You're just never a prophet in your own backyard. It is what it is. So it's okay to have that third-party credibility. The other side of it is that you get to introduce them to another member of Worth Unlimited, and they may say something a little bit differently than you. They also may be able to present things and help close a little bit better as well. So that three-way call, I think, is a really critical step. It can help you close that person, but the goal is to make sure that you're edifying the person that you're calling. If you're doing a three-way call with John Doe, the person that sponsored you, edify the heck out of John Doe. I always see it backwards, where the agent edifies the potential client or the potential agent. It really should be you edifying your leader or that person that you're going to be getting on that phone. Edify the heck out of it. It should be as though that person walks on water. Edify, edify, edify. And whether or not you use that three-way call, the next step is to, of course, close. For recruiting, if the person is not on the program, in my humble opinion, the best way to close that person is on the 90-day trial. Remember, we do have the 90-day trial. For $250, somebody gets to have access to the program for 90 days. There's no contract, there's no obligation. On day 91, they simply no longer have access to them. Now, with that 90-day trial or 90-day use of the program, they also get to come in as an agent for free. So that first year as an agent is free. They also come in at the director level for the first 90 days. Those few items right there are enough for most people to move from the 149 to the 250. It justifies that jump in that pay. We also all know that people that are on the program tend to outsell and outperform those that are not on the program. So even just getting that person test driving it for 90 days will help increase the likelihood of them making sales and of them being successful. The whole point is they have to have buy-in to the program. Now, the beautiful thing is when they are using that program in those 90 days, and they do choose to upgrade to the lifetime membership of the program, the $250 will go towards the lifetime membership of that program. So if their price point is $3,100, that $250 does go towards it, and they just have to pay the delta at the time that they upgrade, as long as they do it within the 90 days. And then they've gotten their program for what they would have purchased the program for at whatever price it was, and they got to become an agent for free for the first year. And they got to come in at the level of director and earn that level at a higher commission rate than had they just joined as an agent at the 149. So I usually target the 250 for that close. Now, the next step, I think, is just as critical as the other steps, and that's where you're going to begin training and support. And one of the best ways to begin that training and support is the 5 steps to success. Now, unfortunately, we will not have time to review that today, but we will be reviewing that in the upcoming weeks. But that really is one of the best ways to get people going successfully. The 5 steps to success is recorded. It is on the Worth Unlimited Corporate Training site channel on YouTube, so you can always direct people to that site. You can also copy the URL or the website for the YouTube video and send it to them as well. But that's really the best way to begin training and support. Now, the recruiting process all stems on gaining interest. It all is predicated on you having a conversation with your people, with your prospects. And so that's where the 6 steps to sales track is so critical. And all of those 6 steps to sales track that we had as we targeted the client can be now used for the recruiting side of things as well. And that's what we're going to be really targeting and discussing over the course of the next few weeks. Now, we're not going to go into it as detailed as we did when we were initially talking about the sales side, because we really went into a lot of detail. So we're going to go through it a little bit quicker, but this part is all critical. And again, those 6 steps, with whom do I start, the 15-second commercial, those are the 2 things we're going to touch on today. Qualifying questions and tie downs, personal and borrowed stories, the litmus test, and then setting the appointment in stone. Now, how long is this conversation, which includes these 6 steps? It should be at most about 15 minutes. Now, on the recruiting side, the conversation is going to start a little bit longer than on the client side, so you're going to probably have a good 15-minute conversation. But during the course of that conversation, you also need to tell them what to expect, that you're going to send them videos for them to watch. They need to watch the videos before your next appointment. You're going to schedule the appointment within 24 to 48 hours and so on and so forth. So that conversation is really setting the tone. You're creating the rules of engagement, you're creating interest, you're creating a sense of urgency, and you're helping them move forward. So let's chat about the first step, with whom do I start? Now, I talk about this quite often because I do think that this is absolutely critical. Starting with the basics. I call it back to the basics. And that is the list of people that you know. It doesn't matter if you're starting recruiting, if you're going after clients. This is really the start of everything. This is the start of any type of business, is creating your database. So what do you need to do? Well, you need to sit down and spend a good 1 to 2 hours. In fact, why not do it after this call? You'll have time. It might be late if you're on the East Coast, but that's okay. Spend 1 to 2 hours brainstorming on anyone and everyone you know without judgment. I usually pull up an Excel spreadsheet because my writing is very poor. I want to be able to read it again. But also, if I put it into an Excel spreadsheet, I can manipulate the data. I can then input their email. I can input their phone number. I can upload it into a CRM. I can put in notes, and I can bring it with me wherever I go. I can put it on my computer. I can email it to myself. I can do a lot more than if I just put it on a piece of paper. That's just me. Do with it as best fits you and your personality. I do suggest you use a memory jogger, use a telephone book, use your book of business, go through your sphere of influence, go through your cell phone, go through your social media. If you have a Christmas card list or a holiday list, go through that. Write down any and every name that comes to mind, again, without judgment. Now, you're going to spend the first time you do this a good 1 to 2 hours. I also suggest that you don't just do this one time. I suggest you do this about once a month. I know it sounds a little bit extreme, but think about all the people that you've met over the course of the last month. You don't want anybody to fall through the cracks. And this is an excellent exercise to make sure nobody is falling through the cracks. Now, after you've done that, after you sat down, after you've brainstormed, now you're going to judge. You're going to say, gosh, in my mind, is this a client prospect, an agent prospect, or both? And the reality is you may not know. But the other side of it is, what if that person just bought a house? What if you just heard that person complaining about all the interest they were going to give away to the financial institution? That's clearly somebody that's probably a good candidate as a client. So you probably will want to set up where you talk with them as a client prospect first. But what if, on the other hand, what if you just found out they lost their job? What if you just found out that they had a decrease in income? Or maybe they are trying to cut back at work because they're trying to spend more time with their family. Maybe they just had a baby and they're trying to spend more time at home with their family. There are so many different things that could be happening that would make you trigger the thought of, gosh, that would be a good agent prospect. So you're going to categorize them, client, agent, prospect, both. Then you're going to rank them on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 not so hot, 10 super hot. Maybe they are your great great aunt. They're 105 years old. They have no debt whatsoever, and they have no desire to work another day in their life. Well, that's probably a 1. Now, they still go on your database. You still want to follow up with them because who knows who Aunt Maggie knows. She might know 5 other people that would really benefit, even though she doesn't want to be an agent or a client. So she still goes on your list. She's still somebody that could be a strategic referral partner for you. But maybe they are that person that was just saying, gosh, I really can't stand my job. I really need to create a plan B. I really want to have another source of income. I really want to buy another house. I really want to pay down my debt even faster. And I need just more money. Well, that's a 10. That's somebody that we can really help right now. And then what do? You need to pick up the phone and call on your top 10 prospects. And then after you've called those 10, you call on your next 10. Then after those 10, you call on your next 10, and so on and so forth. Now, this is the start of your database. This is absolutely, positively critical. And from here on out, anybody and everybody you meet goes into your database. Why is this going blue? Oh my goodness gracious. All right, so after you started your database, you're not just going to talk to people from your database. You really need to get out there and start talking to other people as well. These are your friends, your family, your acquaintances, coworkers, colleagues, and quite frankly, strangers. So you want to look at professionals. What professionals will you follow up with? Well, I like to go after realtors, loan officers, financial planners, and insurance agents. The reason why I like to target them, and this is just my target, is because I am a licensed real estate broker. I've been in real estate for many, many, many years. I've been flipping homes literally from the day I was born. My family has been flipping homes. I know real estate. I know the lingo. I know the vernacular. I know what makes realtors tick. And because I know about realtors, I also know about loan officers because they're so greatly related. So I can talk the talk pretty well. I know what's going to be important to them, and I'm comfortable with the lingo. I'm comfortable with talking about what I believe are value propositions for the realtor, the loan officer. I've also owned a financial planning company, and so I'm comfortable talking about finances. I'm comfortable talking to the financial planner and to the insurance agent, which is very related to that as well. There's also other professionals, attorneys, CPAs, bookkeepers. What about MLMers, direct sales professionals? They usually have a pretty darn good database, and that's really a great person to talk to for recruiting. So go and talk to those MLMers, talk to those direct sales professionals. A lot of them, even if they're active in another company, they also like to have a plan B and a plan C, and they're willing to go after that database to build it and to build it strong. Talk to radio hosts, talk to DJs. In fact, we have a great agent out in Las Vegas who speaks on a Spanish-speaking radio show out in Las Vegas. And anytime he wants to put together an opportunity meeting or a client presentation or any type of seminar for Worth Unlimited, he mentions it once or twice on the radio and boom, he can fill a room. And he does a great job of it too. I mean, he just does a great job. So go after those radio hosts, those DJs, whether it's on true traditional radio, whether it's on the internet radio, it doesn't matter. They have to create a following or else they're not on the radio for very long. And so really getting them involved, that gives you a really good microphone out there as well. Go to churches and nonprofits. Churches and nonprofits are almost always looking for additional sources of income. So why not have them become an agent? If they become an agent, they don't have to close the sales themselves. They can refer over to Worth. They can refer over to field closers that are out in the field as well. And now they simply get their patrons interested in the program. They refer over, and a portion of the proceeds comes back to them. It's a great way to get additional money back to that church, back to that nonprofit, whatever that case may be. So they can become an agent, and then again, as they make sales, a portion of the proceeds come back to them. The other side of it is, as they help their patrons decrease their debt, what happens? Well, now that patron has access to more capital to invest or to donate to that church, to donate to the nonprofit. It's a huge win-win for everybody involved. The patron gets to pay down debt. They have access to more money to free up and to donate to that nonprofit or to that church. The church gets more money from that donation, and they get a portion of the proceeds from them buying the program. It's just a win-win for all involved. Go after business owners. You can set it up as an employee benefit. You can go after, have booths at home shows, at career fairs. I love having booths at career fairs. Who goes to a career fair? Somebody that is interested in having another job or having another source of income. You can have a booth at a professional training. You can have booths or have educational seminars. Hook up with somebody that has a related field and do some educational seminars. Wear branding. Have shirts that are branded to Worth Unlimited. Wear name tags. Go to open houses. Call on realtor signs. There are so many different things that we can do. As one of our agents out in California says, all he has to do is open his front door. There are prospects everywhere. So don't limit yourself. Now, what I suggest is you actually start with your current job, your current career. You know the vernacular, you know the profession, you know what makes people tick. I suggest looking at your current job, your current career, and target that market first. That's my just small, humble suggestion, because again, you know what's going to make them tick. You know how to help them move forward in the process. You can speak the language and you speak it well. The goal is to identify your target market and then do what? Go after them. My goodness. Oh, this wants to turn blue on me. Now, step number 2, it's great to have the target market. It's great to have that database, but again, it means nothing unless you're willing to start the conversation. You have to have a solid 15-second commercial. Now, when you meet somebody new, what's the most common question that's asked? What do you do for a living? You need to be prepared to answer that. What happens if you haven't spoken to a family member in quite some time, or a friend that you haven't chatted with in quite some time? What do they say? They ask you, what have you been up to? Again, you need to be prepared to answer that question. What happens when you go to your database and you have all of these hot leads on your database and it's time to pick up the phone? You need to be ready to have a commercial to introduce and have that transition to introduce Worth Unlimited. In that situation, I suggest forming them, where you go through and you talk about family, occupation, recreation, and then deliver your message. It's just called form, family, occupation, recreation, message. But the reality is you have to have a message, and that is your 15-second commercial. So be prepared. Now, that 15-second commercial needs to be engaging. It needs to be impactful. It also needs to be concise. I see a lot of people getting out there, whether they're related with Worth Unlimited or doing something else. I attend a lot of networking groups, and I see so many people give their commercial and they turn into a fire hydrant and they just blow everybody away. And you can just see the glazed look on everybody. You can just start seeing them like, oh my goodness gracious. Oh my goodness gracious, somebody save me. Don't turn into a fire hydrant. That's truly one of the worst things you can do. It has to be concise. It also has to be delivered confidently. So practice. My suggestion is to get back to that list of people that you know, call up a few of them, maybe 3, 4 of them, and ask them, say, you know what, I just started a new business. I need to practice. Can I practice on you? And practice your commercial. Make sure you have several different commercials ready for different situations, for answering the what do you do for a living, for answering the hey, what have you been up to? I haven't spoken with you in a little while, to answering the hey, have you heard about the Worth Account program? Let me introduce this commercial, to the networking, to targeting your target market. You need to have several different commercials available for you. And again, it's best to practice on somebody that you know. Now, the other side of it is that if it's somebody that you trust, they're going to give you good feedback, real feedback. You don't want the yes people around you. You want somebody that's going to actually give you some real feedback and say, you know what, that was awful. Holy cow, change it and change it now. They're also going to say, you know what, tell me a little bit more about this. Let's go ahead and work on this and adapt it a little bit. Or they may say, wow, that was amazing. I really need to hear more. So practice on somebody you know, and practice on more than one person, it also gives you an opportunity to introduce it in a little bit more of a passive way as well. These commercials are meant to entice and get that prospect to ask for more information. You want to help that person get excited. Your goal is to have them want to know more information. So remember, you need to deliver this confidently. Your language, your positioning of your body, of your words, of your hands, as I talk, as I move my hands, those are key to successful approaches. The other part of it that we don't often think about is that that commercial has to match your personality. It has to be congruent. So it has to match and feel comfortable to you as well. So practicing is going to help you get that to be comfortable also. A couple suggestions. I have the best job in the world. I'm helping people take control of their finances and their futures, and I earn great money doing it part-time. Does that sound like something that would be of interest to you? The beauty of that commercial is it taps into the agent side and the client side. So if somebody responds favorably, you can say, gosh, which part of that interests you? Taking control of your finances and future, or earning great money, or quite frankly, both. It's a great opportunity to really determine, is that an agent prospect or a client prospect? Now, I was always taught when I got into sales that you want to create a 15-second commercial that identifies a problem and then shows how you create a solution. Now, what you see on your screen is a whole bunch of, well, not a whole bunch, 4 of them. Well, you know how, identify a problem, and then provide a solution. You'll notice all 4 of these target the program. It's really kind of a client approach. That is purposeful. I always introduce the product because the person has to have buy-in to the product, or they will never do anything as an agent. They have to believe in the product. That's why it is pretty important for people to be on the program if they qualify for the program. It's critical that they have that buy-in, that they believe in the program, or else they will do nothing. So I'm from Vegas. I lived there the last 10 years. That's where I spent most of my time with Worth Unlimited. So the top one was, you know how most people here in the Vegas Valley are upside down on their mortgages? Well, I show people how to build equity in the shortest time frame possible given their financial situation. I identify a problem, I show a solution, and that usually solicits the desire for more information. Now, I'm in Michigan right now, and by the way, it's snowing. Oh my goodness, it's snowing. We're in April. Nonetheless, I'm still in Michigan. So I often have, well, you know how, and identify the problem. Most people spend most of their life in debt, paying on things like credit cards, auto loans, student loans, and even mortgages for what seems like forever. Well, I show people how to beat the banks at their own game and pay those off as quickly as possible. So in your local area, identify the problem and then show how we have a solution. Now, you're not always going to have time for something that long. Sometimes you need to have a short statement. You need to have truly a real elevator pitch. Hey, I'm a banking strategist. I'm a debt buster. We have another agent that does Debt Buster, but she sings it to the Ghostbuster song. By the way, I love that. It is so memorable. For me, it doesn't match my personality, but I absolutely love it. I love every time she talks about this. I'm an interest cancellation expert. I'm a debt to wealth expert. I show people how to transform their debt into wealth. I help people take control of their financial future. What if you have something else that you do? Maybe you're also a realtor. I'm a realtor, but my passion is. I'm a loan officer, but my passion is. I'm a shrink, but my passion is. When you start with a but my passion is, you are about to tell a story that's really an engaging way to capture the attention of the person in front of you. So I'm a blank, but my passion is. Get creative, have fun, give enough information to get someone curious, but not too much where they're just blown away. Remember, less is more, and practice on somebody. Now, again, I mentioned this before. When I'm recruiting, I start off with one of the client approaches. That sounds counterintuitive, but again, you really want to make sure that somebody has buy-in or believes in the program, that they are going to have faith in the program, that they're going to believe in it, that they're going to move forward with it. Now, during the course of the discussion, I'm going to ask questions that are more agent related and really identify, is this an agent prospect or a client prospect, and move forward accordingly. And those questions are things that we're going to talk about next week. I might also make a statement of, hey, my business is really growing right now. Do you know anyone who'd be interested in making some serious income? Part-time, full-time, it doesn't really matter. I'm really swamped and I need the help. I've used that one a lot. I also love the one when I'm at a restaurant or I've just had really good service at a grocery store. Hey, you know what? You did a great job today. Are you interested in making some extra money? I'm looking for some agents. I need some help. It's just a great way to just start a conversation. After this, and we are going to talk about this, we're going to talk more about this in the upcoming weeks, but you need to move the conversation forward. You're going to talk about qualifying questions and tie downs. You're going to insert personal and borrowed stories. You're going to have that litmus test, and then you're going to set that appointment in stone. And that appointment is your follow-up appointment, is that second appointment. That's when they've already watched the video. So you let them know what to expect. I'm going to send you some videos. I'm going to send you a link to this live webinar. I'm going to email you the address and directions so that you can attend this live meeting. And then you set that appointment in stone. Again, we're going to talk about these other stages over the courses of the next few weeks and how it relates to recruiting. But before we really get into that, I want to remind you about these four steps of the recruiting process, that gaining interest, sending videos or that live webinar, letting them know in the course of that conversation, that initial conversation, that you're going to send them videos, and then schedule an appointment before you end that conversation. I cannot emphasize the importance of that. Have that follow-up appointment where you're going to answer questions. You're going to have that most critical question, what did you like best about what you saw? You're going to close them. You're going to begin training and support right away. So what videos do you send? Well, these are just a few of them. You always want to send something about the program and also about the compensation plan. You don't know what's going to be more important to them, that they really join us because of the crusade, or they join us because they can make some really good money. So I love to send the video from our replicated site, worthaccount.com/your agent ID. It has a great 10-minute video. It's actually just shy of 10 minutes. It does a great introduction of the program. Then in the back office, you're going to send the compensation plan video. You're going to just copy and paste the URL or the link to the video, and you're going to attach the compensation plan. Remember, you want to cater all different types of learning styles. So some people like the physical hard copy of that PDF that they can read, and others want to watch the video. So cater to both. You could also send a combination of the live demo and the compensation plan. You could also send the Worth Account presentation, the live presentation from the back office. If somebody's really analytical, that's a really good one to send, the Worth Account presentation live from the back office with the compensation video. Or you could also send the Worth Account ALOC presentation. Those two are really good for more of your analytical type agent prospects. But again, you always want to send the compensation plan video and the compensation plan as an attachment to whatever video that you're sending that will discuss the program. Again, you want to make sure that follow-up appointment is scheduled within 24 to 48 hours, so they have a deadline, and you make sure that you have a scheduled appointment so you don't go into voicemail jail and get stuck there forever. The other critical part of this, as you are getting out there and as you're building your database, you're talking to people, you're attending these networking groups, you're going and practicing the 3-foot rule, you're having booths at trade shows, you're getting out there and you're really marketing to people. You want to make sure you follow up. Follow up, follow up, follow up. The fortune's in the follow-up. It is absolutely critical. And do what you say when you say you're going to. If your appointment is for Thursday at 1 o'clock, you're not going to call them Thursday at 1:05. You're going to call them Thursday at 1 o'clock. That's really important. Do what you say you're going to do when you say you're going to do that. Make sure they know that they're going to be spending about 35 minutes watching videos. Have them take notes while they are watching these videos. Send a confirmation email or text them to remind them of their appointment. And then, of course, confirm the day before or the day of that appointment as well. So in summary, just going to bring this all up, the sales track is really the best way to recruit. We've chatted a lot about how to use Sales Track and the sales side. Really, this same Sales Track process is best for recruiting as well. There's really no need to reinvent the wheel. You want to have a duplicatable, replicatable system that can be easily learned and executed by others. I see so many people that pull out their presentation, the PowerPoint, and start going through a PowerPoint. That's fantastic, but do you know what your prospect's thinking? They're thinking, oh my goodness, I could never do that PowerPoint as well as that person just did. I'm going to fail. So they're already convincing themselves that they aren't going to be successful. So have a duplicatable, replicatable system. Even if you are the absolute best presenter in the world, if you're one-on-one with somebody, just have them watch videos. If you're that good of a presenter, please, by all means, be that good of a presenter, but do it in an opportunity meeting where you have more than one person. And then that way they don't feel like they have to be able to have this incredible presentation skills, even just one-on-one. So use that duplicatable process of having the videos. Remember to follow the 4 steps. You want to gain interest by using Sales Track. You want to make sure that they know what to expect, that you're going to send them videos, that you're going to have them attend a live webinar, send them via email, and have your appointment scheduled for that follow-up. Step 3, have that follow-up appointment. Be prepared to ask them, what did you like best about what you saw? Ask them if they have any additional questions. Be ready to do a 3-way call if need be, close them, and then begin training and support right away. Remember, identify your target market if you have a target market. Create that list of people that you know, and from here on out, anybody and everybody that you meet goes into your database. Anybody and everybody that you meet from here on out is somebody that needs to know that you are the authority figure on helping people pay down debt. You're the authority people on helping people have additional sources of income. Follow up, follow up, follow up. The fortune's in the follow up. And I want to challenge everybody, do something uncomfortable every single day to build your business. Don't be a secret business owner. Get out there, start the conversation that matters. Now, we have about 3 minutes left to the end of this call. I really want to bring Darlene back onto the call. Darlene, if you could spend about 2 minutes just kind of giving us a little summary, a little information about what you thought was important, things that we didn't discuss, whatever it may be. Darlene, are you there?
Well, yes, I'm here. So first of all, thank you. That was a wonderful job. You were very thorough in the areas that you were discussing, and I'm sure everyone on the call took notes, because we want to be active listeners. We don't want to just hear it and then think you're going to remember it. Oh, that was a great idea, and think you're going to remember it, because guys, it doesn't happen that way. You need to really take notes and be an active listener. Keep in mind that activity is the key. Your income is based on your actions. So the more people that you touch, the more you're going to build your database and build your prospects and customers. So it's important that you take time each and every day. Joan outlined great detail of what needed to be done and how to do a lot of it. Make it work for your way of doing things. Don't reinvent the wheel, which is what she said. And as I always say, do not be a secret agent. You want to spread that information and share it with others as often as possible. At the bare minimum, take a few minutes each and every day, at the bare minimum, share it with one person, at least one person. My recommendation is to target at least 10 people a day. And that's throughout your daily life. You can breathe this business while you live. It's easy to understand that you can share information with people. So whenever you do things, consider your recruiting process that was discussed earlier, and the information that you know and that you learn. You can go anywhere with the information you have now and a goal. That goal is what's going to get you to where you need to be. You do realize that a goal are dreams written down with a date. So take the information, figure out who I need to talk to, where I'm going to get that information from. Think about your daily life, who you come in contact with, and always have something planned ahead. I need to, for example, follow these steps that you see on the screen, and keep moving in order for you to achieve that goal. Do something. Your momentum will keep you going and push you through those slow times, constantly giving you direction because you have your goals laid down in front of you. Constantly do something, keeping in mind the basic steps that you need to handle. You want to share information with others. Share the business side, share the client side. When I do business, guys, I do share both sides. When I'm talking to that person, they'll lead you to the direction that you need to take. They will lead you to the direction that you need to take in order to achieve your goal. But listen to what they're saying and be prepared to answer those questions. And as my final note on that is that she's Joan, absolutely correct. That appointment, get the appointment set. You can't give them information on the fly. You can't be saying, oh, there's something I want to tell you about, we'll get back to you. No, find a time you need to call them back, identify it with them, confirm it quickly with them, and then know that everybody's day is busy, their life is busy. So even if they are busy, you want to make sure you get information from them so you can follow up with them at a later time where it's not as busy. But get that appointment set so you can share the information properly. And always follow up, even if you don't think that person may want to know, follow up with them anyway and ask them who they know may want to get out of debt or have an extra stream of income. That's how you build your extra stream of income. Joan?
Thank you, Darlene. I love that. Breathe this business. I absolutely agree 100%. So thank you so much, Darlene. I think you did a great job summing things up. And I'm hoping that one of these calls coming up, that it can be where we really have an open forum again, where you and I can kind of bounce off of each other again. I think we do a great job on that. So hopefully we'll have one of those coming up soon. So thanks so much.
The team has to ask for it. Have everybody ask for it. I'm sure we'll do it again. Guys, if you want to, be able to get some of those questions answered, Joan and I have always done that. We tell you from our experience, right, Joan? We give you ideas and things that help make us successful. If you want to make that happen, you just have to ask. You just have to ask for it.
Yep, I agree.
Great job, Joan. Great job,
thanks,
Joan.
Darlene. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. I'm going to mute you back out again. All right. So really in closing, I want to say people accept the lives they live and do the things they do, not because they have to, but because no one's ever showed them an alternative. Guys, we have an opportunity here to show people there's an alternative to what they know and what they're breathing right now. We have the opportunity to show people they have an opportunity to make extra income, to avoid bankruptcy. Did you know that the average person that declares bankruptcy, if they had an extra $250 of income, they wouldn't have to declare bankruptcy? We have an opportunity to show them there's an alternative to what they're doing right now. We have an opportunity to show people that don't like their current career, their current job, their current boss, whatever it may be. We have the opportunity to show them that they have choices. But what needs to happen is we need you to take action. We need you to start that conversation that matters. As Darlene says, you're in control of how much money you make. And that's based on how many people you talk to, how many people you start the conversation that matters. Because the reality is, and this is one of my favorite quotes, you miss 100% of the shots that you don't take. So get out there and start taking the shots. Get out there and start the conversations. Guess what? You're going to mess it up. And I hate to say that as a negative because it's not a negative. Everything that happens is a learning experience. When you mess it up, look back and say, gosh, how could I have done that better? And the reality is the person in front of you has no idea what you were going to say. So they don't know if you messed it up or if you did it right or whatever it may be. They have no idea because they don't know what you were going to say. So get out there and start taking those shots. Get out there and start the conversation that matters. Max Saunders should be back with us hopefully next week. Here's his contact information should you need to get a hold of him. There were some questions that came in along the way, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this so that I can actually access the questions, and we'll answer those questions as well. Thank you so much for joining us. If you asked a question, we're going to get to those in just a second. Thank you again. Oh, sorry. Ralph commented, wow, you almost breathed during this training. Yeah, sorry. I tend to do that. As mentioned at the beginning of the call, this is recorded and you will have access to this. This will be on our team training site so that you do have access to this. You can watch it as often as you need. And as was said, you can go back and take notes as well. So you can watch this as often as you need. And actually, I'm a little surprised there weren't any questions, just comments along the way. And these are some great comments. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us today. I'm so grateful that you were on the call. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you have some golden nuggets that you're going to take. And most importantly, I hope that you get out there and start the conversation that matters. Remember, don't forget about the 5 steps to success. As you build your team, you want to get them going on the 5 steps to success right away. And that is on the YouTube channel as well. Thank you again for joining us. Y'all have a wonderful week and get out there, start that conversation that matters. Talk to y'all soon. Take care.